Black Island took Jonas's smile after his parents died on a road that stretched a mile, and the grandfather's hiding a secret while the substitute teacher is lurking. Black Island is a Netflix original from Germany, and because it's from Germany, I apologize in advance for any names I will be butchering. It was written and directed by Miguel Alexandra, and also written by Lisa Hoffer. And it's a German TV movie that Netflix said, yeah, that looks good enough, let's bring that over. So Jonas, played by Philip Froissart, which sounds like an off-brand croissant, and also Nina, played by Mercedes Muller, and a few others, star in this movie that is basically a mixture of a couple movies that I'll mention, something like, Fatal Attraction and a few others, and, Building a Mystery. It's trying to rewrite history, DuckTales, woo. It's basically set in a small island community that's ripped apart when a terrible thing happens that I'll get into in spoilers in a little bit. But I will say this much, a few positives right off the bat. The acting's pretty good overall, and the cinematography is freaking beautiful. Like, there's some lush landscapes and some really good shots. Really good from a technical standpoint. The storyline is also very basic. You can see pretty much every twist and turn coming. And even though there is a third act twist, again, in spoilers that I will talk about, that isn't bad and actually is a nice, neat little bit, this movie's a bit too long. I think it could have, honest to God, been about 10 to 15 minutes shorter and you wouldn't have missed shit. There's quite a bit of padding. And also there are several situations where you're watching this and you're like, okay, no human would be acting that way. You do something like this just to protect what's going on and protect, from any secret getting out, and you're like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to compound it by doing something more stupid and more stupid. And some characters just don't act like normal humans. So there are times where it's grounded in reality, and then other times where it just gets fucking ridiculous. So anyway, the main, one of the main characters, Helena, played by Alice Dwyer, I will say right now is probably the best performance in the movie, even though it gets a little bit ridiculous. So Peaceful Island community is ripped apart when Jonas, played by Philip, loses his parents in a car accident. And we see clips of that and everything, and it becomes pretty obvious what the fuck is going on. And if you can't really tell where this movie's going from about the first 10 minutes, and you probably haven't seen that many movies, but he's upset, and, he has his friends, his close-knit group. Nina, that is somebody that he's close with, and obviously gets closer with as time goes on. And he's going to go stay with his aunt in another area. His grandfather says, hey, you know what? I know we haven't been close, and I was never that close with your father, but family's family, stay with me. So he's going to stay on that island. Nina's thrilled, all that stuff. We go 1 year later, and he's still upset. Obviously, he's not handling this all that well, even as a teenager. I mean, I think he was supposed to be 16 here, which lends something else a little bit later, like, whoa, okay, this is happening. But 1 year later, everything's going good. Suddenly, there is this accident, and and you don't see it, but in the Alps or, some kind of vacation area, this teacher is injured. He can't be there. So the substitute teacher, Helena, shows up. Okay, that's fine. She shows up and everything, and she seems to take a particular liking to Jonas right away. You can tell where this is going. And from there, we basically get a few things where, like, Nina and Jonas are they like each other. And obviously, as any young boy would be, if you have a fairly attractive teacher, and Alice Dwyer is actually pretty goddamn attractive in all honesty, this is going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that makes it right, but I can totally understand, especially in a small island community where you're like, okay, it's like, well, let's just do this. What the fuck? Nobody's going to find out. Even though, again, small island community, you're going to find out what's going on. But on Black Island, everybody knows your name. They're always glad you came. Haha, gross. And it ends up being fine at first. She asks the students to come over. Hey, can you come help me set up my house and everything? I'm not really good at this. I'm not really familiar with the area. Very few people drive. They just, ride their bicycles around. And they help her set up. Well, Nina suffers an accident while trying to do some flooring. And after a little bit and everything, Jonas and Nina are kind of together, but maybe not together. It's really hard to tell. Well, romance blossoms between Helena and Jonas. And from there, we get to where things get more, more shit gets revealed, even though, again, a lot of it's obvious. You can tell where it's coming from. And it just gets to where It's fine for a while and then gets goofy and then it grounds itself back into reality a little bit later. But you also kind of have to wonder, what was the end game here if the particular person got away with it? What was the end game if anybody that did bad shit got away with it? Like, what were you going to do? Because you were leaving all kinds of evidence and all kinds of shit all over the place. So I don't really know what exactly was the plan should anybody have gotten away with what they were doing. Obviously, there's more than, meets the eye. Robots in disguise. This teacher wants this lonely guy. And you figure out that eventually we have to get to the conclusion. And again, had they cut a little bit of this movie, there were a few too many musical interludes. And I'm not talking like they busted out in the song as hilarious as that would have been given the subject matter. The songs weren't bad. They were just painfully generic. And I felt like some of the music montages and everything were testing my patience. But then it got to where it was fine. And by the end, yeah, it was silly. And everything kind of got wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow. Maybe not, maybe so. But it ended up working out fine in the end. So I will say that as far as Netflix originals, you could do worse. It's not great. It's fine. Has some decent acting and some good cinematography. But now I'm going to get into spoilers. So spoilers here. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Okay, so if you're still watching, here are the spoilers. So this teacher knows the grandfather really well and has concocted this plot to basically get at Jonas and his grandfather. And it turns out that the grandfather was in a relationship years and years ago, like back in like 86 or something like that, with Helena's mother, who was a teacher at the same school that they're at. That's how she was able to get herself in there under either an assumed name or they just don't do background checks because fuck you. And she ends up developing a romance with Jonas. Now, I want you to think about that there. I want you to think about that. That means that she's his aunt. Gross. Gross. What the fuck? No. No. Stop. No. Don't sleep with your family members. Seriously, what the fuck? I don't care what country you're in. God damn. But yeah, that's a spoiler that gets revealed a little bit later. Also, in a hilarious way, she tries to, they end up doing some sex scenes that are, I guess are fine. They're not like, I guess they're as tastefully done as something could possibly be. One is placed a little bit later in the movie that just seems totally out of fucking place because Jonas seems really scared about what's going on with his friend, maybe soon-to-be girlfriend. Nina discovers that, oh, there's a picture of this woman that looks like the person that is in this yearbook. It's like, she looks like the teacher. What the fuck? It turns out it's her mother. Also, earlier, Helena decided to cut her hair to make it short like her mother was. She stands in the background of a press conference, small press conference and everything about the school. The grandfather sees and has a seizure because holy shit, his past is coming back to haunt him. And then from there, he ends up having another one. She ends up killing Nina, wrapping her up in a curtain and stuffing her underneath this bookshelf, and then disposes of the body later, and it's found, washed up on the beach. But obviously all the evidence is washed away, despite the fact there's all this evidence left all over the goddamn library that if they had any police, they apparently don't have police on this goddamn island, they weren't able to figure that out. That's pretty much it right there. And yeah, then she drugs Jonas and tries to kill him, but he ends up killing her by stabbing her with some broken glass from a table that the grandfather breaks because he had that second seizure, was brought home. She was going to have him watch her kill his grandson. But no. The grandson outsmarted because he's innocent in all of this and actually didn't do anything, despite the fact he fucked his aunt. Good God, Futurama flashbacks. Roswell that ends well. If you get it, you get it. It's not quite that close, but still. Yeah, that was a bit dicey right there, but then he ends up leaving the island, and he notices this fairy tech is like looking at this picture. Well, that's your island, right? Why is it the only black one? Because that's what Helena did. She took that same cruise liner or same ferry over there, and that was pretty much it right there. So, yeah, not necessarily a great movie, but not a bad movie. Again, performance is fine, silly, whatever. I've seen worse. This is definitely a cut above a lot of Netflix originals I've seen. So I'm going to say C+. Overall, not that bad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.